Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first impressions review of Resident Evil Village. So, I'm going to say off the bat, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible because I believe that this game needs to be experienced, whether you play it yourself or watch it through a Let's Play. This game, and especially its story, needs to be experienced. Um, not through just a review, but through actually, again, playing it yourself or watching a Let's Play. Just in that way. So Resident Evil Village is a sequel to Resident Evil 7. Not a surprise. It was advertised as such, and it was shown to be directly connected to the last game within all of its trailers and advertising. So I was excited because of that, because I really enjoyed Resident Evil 7. Now, I was never like the biggest fan of the franchise growing up. I never really got into it. I played a little bit, like a tiny bit of it when I was younger. And everything else I just kind of knew from the internet. Um, when Resident Evil 7 came out, some Let's Players I watched were playing it, so I decided to check it out with that, and I really enjoyed it. Um, it wasn't what I expected from Resident Evil, just knowing that the series centered more on zombies and zombie monsters and shit like that. So having it be a completely different kind of story with 7, having more of the mold aesthetic and everything, and the Dulve, Louisiana swamp family. It was not what I expected, but I liked it. I really liked the take on things. I thought it was nice and scary, but not too much so. I liked the characters, um, and I thought it was really creative, really interesting, and a good representation of a horror game for the modern era. And when the DLC came out, I liked it even more because the DLC I felt expanded on it in a great way, especially the End of Zoe DLC. Like that one specifically was really damn good. Um, and so I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more of what this could do. So eventually, there was a reveal trailer for Resident Evil Village, and the reveal trailer right away promised us the likes of werewolves. And we soon found out vampires as well. And it's like this is all getting me excited because I am a fan of classic vampire and werewolf stories. And even though some adaptations in the world have done vampires and werewolves complete injustice, like a certain series of stories by one Stephanie Meyer. Yeah. While some have gone that route, there have been plenty of great stories about these mythical monsters, and plenty of great ones involving both of them together, such as the Underworld franchise. Um, and so it's like I was excited. I wanted to see how Resident Evil would tackle these kind of legendary creatures like that, these monsters that are so famous in the world of film and horror. And I just wanted to know what they were going to do with them. And when we found out that this was going to be continuing the story from 7, it's like, okay, cool. I want to see where these characters we've come to know and care about and just find interesting in general, where they would go, what would happen. And so far, as of where I'm at in the game with the Let's Plays that I've been watching, it has far exceeded my expectations. I won't go into details because, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as I can. But the vampire werewolf thing is only the tip of the iceberg of this game. I feel like the creators of Resident Evil 8, the writers, the director, everyone who worked on it has a passion for classic horror that really shines through here. It's very tropey, but in the best way. It uses those horror tropes, uses those classic horror styles in order to truly enrapture you, to truly just invest you in this world. You get you get really interested to see more of what these characters and monsters can do, and you want to know more about them as characters. And you get to find out more throughout the typical video game way, finding little bits of lore through notes and items and stuff. Um, and obviously, I have to talk about Lady Dimitrescu because I would be far, far removed from anyone talking about this game if I didn't. Because that's what everyone talks about. Even before the game came out, that's what everyone was talking about. And the creators knew that they had struck a gold mine with how everyone was reacting to Lady Dimitrescu. They understood that, and so they began to give out information like the fact that she's 9'6" and everything. They began to give out information like that in order to get fans more excited because they knew, like, they may not have expected her to be as popular as she had become, but they understood that she had and knew how to milk that. And that's honestly that's good. I like it when these creators can do stuff like that. They take the feedback they're given and run with it. And so it's like, yeah, seeing all these people get honestly get horny for Lady Dimitrescu. It's like they saw that. They saw how much people liked her just from a few clips and images and stuff. And they're like, we're going to run with this. We're going to focus our advertising on this. We're going to make sure that becomes an icon of horror gaming. And by God, they succeeded. Like, the game's barely been out. And she is an icon of horror gaming without question. You think of big name Resident Evil bad guys, you think of the likes of Mr. X and Nemesis, um, obviously Albert Wesker. And honestly, I think Lady Dimitrescu has reached that level already with the fan base. And that's impressive that people just love her that much. And honestly, fair enough. Because even beyond just the attractiveness and the kink about her size and everything, she's a really wonderful character. She is a really well done character and really interesting. Um, but she's not the only enemy you face in this game. Like I mentioned, there's also werewolves and there's much more so than I would have ever thought. It actually surprised me. Um, the game looks gorgeous as well. Like that is a huge highlight of the game. Graphically, it looks absolutely stunning. Like when 7 came out, we were all saying that as well. Like 7 looks great, it looks awesome. And for the time, it did. But this one, even for the time, it looks much better than I could have ever expected. Like they really put a lot of effort into that. The voice acting is phenomenal. It was good in 7 for sure, but it's actually drastically better here. Like they got some really top-notch voice actors to portray these characters, and it works. There's also a lot more wonderful atmosphere. Like 7 had great atmosphere, but this one I think goes a little ham with it in a good way, obviously. It really handles the atmosphere well, no matter where you're at in the game. And again, based off of where I've gotten to currently, which I won't say where that is because spoilers. That would definitely spoil if I said exactly where that was at. Um, and I think, in my opinion, the best part of it is, funny enough, it's scarier. Like for me, I want horror games to be scary to some degree. Not they don't have to be exceptionally horrifying, but I want them to be scary to some notable degree. And 7 was scary, but it really for me 7 really was highlighted by its characters and story. And again, those are both freaking amazing in this game, even better than 7 by far. But that is the one thing that this game has notably over 7, and that is it's much scarier. And it's funny because I heard that the crew behind this tried to make it less scary because apparently people had complained that 7 was too scary, and so they tried to make this one less scary and more action oriented. And I'm just thinking like, what? I'm thinking like, okay, 7 was too scary. Where? Like, yeah, there was some scary moments, but I wouldn't call it too scary at all. And then you're trying to say you made this less scary? It's more scary. The monsters are more scary than anything in 7. Even just the small monsters. Like the like little grunts basically that you fight all the time. They're scarier than anything in 7. The atmosphere is scarier than anything in 7. It's much scarier. If you compared it to like the remake of Resident Evil 2, that would be a different story. Because Resident Evil 2 was very well done in terms of the scariness. Though I think this could give it a run for its money, but I'd have to. It's been a while since I've watched a Let's Play of the Resident Evil 2 remake, so I'd probably have to see it again to make an accurate judgment. Have seen 7 much more recently. Um, but yeah, it's wild to me that they're saying that because it's like this game is notably scarier. Um, the monster design is also drastically better in this game. Like I liked the molded in 7, and the boss fights we got were really cool, and they had some really creative dark ideas. But I just like what they're doing in this game better. Like again, much notably better. Also, the locations in 7 felt very much the same. Like even if the locations were meant to be like a different area or a different part of the Baker estate and everything, they felt like very much just the same kind of aesthetic over and over again, the same kind of lighting, the same kind of mood. Like even in 7 there was this area for the wife Marguerite. um, it didn't feel that different from any other area in the game, despite the boss battle with Marguerite being notably different. Her boss battle was notably different than almost any other part in the game, and yet her area was just kind of the same. It was just kind of boring. The most unique area in 7 was Lucas's area, and even that wasn't that different comparatively. But here, every area is unique. Every area has its own life to it. Every area feels like it's its own thing, its own breathing world. And I love that. The lighting is much better, just everything on that regard. But yeah, it's just, I really love what they did with that. Um, and I won't spoil the details, but I will say that the enemies in the game, the main enemies, not just like the little small grunts and whatnot that you face, the main enemies in the game are the highlight for Resident Evil Village. Without question, the main enemies, the main antagonists are the highlight, and definitely what is keeping me as invested as I am. Not that the rest of the stuff is bad by any means, not the rest of the story or characters or anything is bad. It's just those are the main villains are the highlight. They are the real part that invests me and gets me hooked into this. And I'm really excited to see what they do more going forward. But as I continue watching Let's Plays and everything, I'm watching a few different ones at once. I'm watching Jacksepticeye's, I'm watching Markiplier's, I'm watching Christopher Odds, and I have a bunch of other Let's Players who are doing it right now as well that I have set for the future that I'm going to check out, such as John Wolf. But those are the big three I'm watching right now because honestly, those are the big three I watch for horror gaming. So, yeah. Um, but I'm very very excited to see more of what's to come in the future, past where I'm at currently. But yeah, everything about this game is just really well done. It is a really well handled game. It's extremely interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that it's kind of like a combination between Resident Evils 4 and 7. I never played 4 or even saw anyone play 4. All I know about it is um, the very little I've heard people talk about it online, which usually amounts to the fact that, oh, there's villagers and a merchant that says like what you buying or something like that. Like that's all I know about 4. I don't know anything about the story at all. Um, and the reason for that is simply I've just never watched a Let's Play of it. Because, again, as I said before, I've never been huge into this franchise or whatnot. 7 was really the jumping point in for me. And then I saw the remakes of 2 and 3, with 2 being really good and 3 being just a complete disappointment on all cylinders. But yeah, not here to talk about how disappointing the Resident Evil 3 remake was. Coming from someone who admittedly wasn't a fan of the original Resident Evils because never really played much of them. But still. Um yeah, I really think that they knocked this one out of the park. I really think just on all levels, voice acting, uh graphics, just the characters, the story, all of that. It's just so good. Like even little things like how certain items and whatnot are laid out. Like I'm not playing myself, obviously, so I don't know exactly how well it handles. But the way that things are laid out and everything, the distance between certain items and how often you find certain things like ammo and everything, it feels like it's a very natural way to handle it. They feel like it feels like they got that right. So yeah, all in all, I think that this is really damn good. A definite improvement over the already great Resident Evil 7. And I really am excited to see more of what is in store as I continue through these Let's Plays. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you think of Resident Evil 7. I would say no spoilers, just because I don't want to accidentally get spoiled on anything that I have not gotten to yet. Um, so just to be safe, no big spoilers. In the comments, you could talk about like just general thoughts on the game and the graphics, story, your thoughts on all of that, like I did in this video, but no actual story spoilers or anything like that. But tell me your thoughts either way down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.